This episode was an episode. Like, we get so much. We get Wharton successfully wooing Serena. We get Luke free and ready and very willing to go explode Gilead. We get Janine receiving just a little bit of hope from her girl. And we get Nick and Rita. And from this scene, guys, I'm going to give you my most devastating theory yet. And I need you guys in the comments to tell me I'm wrong, because if I'm right about this theory, it's going to break my heart. Let's get to it. Hello everyone, my name is Jo and I review all of your favorite TV shows on this channel and on my Patreon. I will give you the same warning as I gave you last episode. I am very much a big woke leftist feminist, so if that annoys you, just click out. You will not like this review. I need to start with Mayday. Little tangent, turns out Luke was part of building the plan because I think he was working in construction when he was in Canada, right? That's why he has all that knowledge about building and building safety and where to put the bombs and all that stuff. So granted, Luke did have a hand in building the plan. He was the mastermind of it, apparently. So when he said his bombs really are his bombs. But what I'm really loving in this episode, and I think truly was the highlight of the episode, was the dynamic between Luke, Moira, and June, as they are kind of fighting with each other as whether they are going into Gilead or not. And in different parts of the episode, different people from these three people volunteer as tributes to go. And they did it so well. They did it so well. And I need you guys to understand why they did it so well. And I need you guys to comment and tell me if you agree, if you disagree, if you saw something I didn't see, because this was so good. Let me explain. And we will start with Moira. Moira has been out of Gilead for a while, for a lot longer than June. And the whole time she's been with Luke, she got out of Gilead 3 years later, right? And June got out of Gilead 7 years later. And Luke got out of Gilead like a few months later. So this is the baseline of what we get. And Moira, as I said, she even says it in the episode, she's been living June's life for too long. And she kind of has, because the moment she got out, she met with Luke and she started living with Luke and readjusting to society. Then we get baby Nicole, Holly, and she starts helping take care of this baby. And then we get June, and this was the big thing, was the big win for Luke and Moira, getting June back. And she's been taking care of Nicole, taking care of June, making sure she can readjust to society, which she cannot, clearly, and for good reasons. And Moira has been sitting and waiting for a long time, and the stuff she went through hasn't gone away, will not go away. And I understand why she has this will to fight, why she wants to go back and, bomb the assholes who did that to her, especially because they are going through a Jezebels. And truthfully, to what she said, she is the only person with skills and knowledge about the goddamn Jezebels. Unfortunately, when Moira was volunteering herself to be the person that does the recon mission at the Jezebels, because she was a Jezebel and she is the best person for the job, I wanted to throw my computer through a window, because that's so heartbreaking that you are the best person for this very unsafe, risky job, because you were the one who suffered there. You were the one who were abused there. Completely this entire episode was heartbreaking, and and then, of course, she feels infantilized by June when June is like, you're going nowhere. You don't know what you're doing. You're going to get yourself killed. And I mean, June is right, and we will get to that. But of course, Moira feels infantilized. Of course, she's here. She's willing to fight. She has the grit, in her teeth. She's ready to go. She wants to, bring some fire back to the people who burn her ass. And that's her friend, the person who's been there, who's done that, who should know better, trying to stop her from going. Of course, she feels just like she's being treated like a child, because she can't understand June's perspective. She couldn't, because she just hasn't gone through what June has gone through. She wasn't there that long. She hasn't been fighting there recently, and June has. So it is understandable. And both sides are understandable is what I mean. Like, you can see why Moira feels infantilized, and you can see why June is trying to get her not to go there again. And then we get this thing that Moira says about their previous mission. It only went wrong because the patrols that weren't supposed to be there are there. And it's the same thing that Luke says, right? Everything should have gone to plan. It didn't because of Gilead. And I mean, hello. And this is basically what June tells them, like, hello, good morning. Of course it didn't because of Gilead. Of course they're going to surprise you. Of course everything's not going to go according to a plan. But I understand Moira's side completely. And this is a discussion between the three of them where the three of them are right. And there's no way around it. So I understand her side. And then we have Luke's side, which is kind of similar to Moira's because he has been sitting around waiting for the US military to do something. He has been waiting around. And he did it for a lot longer. And I mean, he hasn't gone through as much as Moira and June have. And June even says this to him, right? I know what you're feeling. I've been there. I've felt that fire in my gut that tells me that I can get my baby back, and then I didn't, Luke. And then I didn't. Because you don't know what you're fighting up. Because you don't know who you're fighting. You don't. And he doesn't. And June does. But I understand Luke, okay? I understand how he feels. And this is not... I'm not going to say this to degrade Luke or to insult him in any way because I don't think he has done anything wrong. I think he's been doing the best that he can. But if I was in Luke's position, if my wife had been tortured, abused, essayed for years in that place, the place that took my child, and I had been just trying to trust the process, trying to trust my government to do what's best after years and years and years. And after they just attempted to save my child and they couldn't, I would feel so absolutely useless. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you feel useless after so long trying to trust the government and then you get your wife back? Not because of your government doing anything, because she fought for it. And she fought for it and she made it happen more than once because she could have left on the plane. She could have left on a truck and she never did. She always stayed for Anna. She only left when she freaking had to. So I understand Luke's perspective because I would feel useless in his place as well. So he wants to fight for Hannah. And this is what he says, like, it's my turn to fight for her. I've been staying here. I've been making sure that you have someone to return to. I've been keeping hope alive. But now you're here. The baby's safe with your mother. I need to go fight for my baby. And like, I get it. I get his position. This is what I'm saying. This was the most interesting part of the episode because you can't disagree with any of them. All of them are right in their own way. And that's why it's so goddamn complex. It's because there isn't a right or wrong answer. It's just what they have to do to live with themselves. That's what it is. And then we have June, who has gone through all of it, who has gone through the most of it, who knows absolutely how dangerous it is, who knows that probably they won't all survive. She knows this. So of course she doesn't want them to go. Of course she would rather threaten them. She would rather them be angry at her than see them dead. Of course. That's the only way they would have ever motivated her to go, is to save her people, right? Because that's the thing about things like this. Sometimes the only way you can do something like this is with blind courage, is by not knowing how bad it can be, is by not knowing how bad the consequences can be. It's by having this idealistic view that Moira and Luke have right now of, we are going to do this, we are going to save the children, we are going to save the world. Sometimes you need that blind courage to do it, and June does not have it. She knows too much. She's been through too much. She's seen too much. She doesn't have it. She knows exactly how realistic. She knows exactly how the world is. She knows exactly how Gilead is. And she knows that if they go, the plan will fail at some point. Something will go wrong and some of them might die. So this is why the dynamic between these three people is so goddamn well written. And I need you to know this. Because June is the powerhouse. She's the powerhouse of this movement. There's no one in Mayday, no one in the US with better connections to Gilead than June. No one. June is the powerhouse. She has the experience. She has the knowledge. She has the goddamn connections. At this point, she has two high commanders on her side. Let's let that sink in. No one else in the world, in this world, is better connected than June Osborne. And I need you to just realize that. She is the powerhouse of the movement, and they need her. Even if they don't ask her, even if they don't think they need her. And the only way that June would go back there like this would be to get her people out. So Moira going and Luke going just gives her more motivation. And then seeing the photo of Janine, she has to go get her girl. And then the fact that Rita is there later on is going to play a role for sure. So you see the way that they built this from early seasons is just coming together so well to give them the perfect motivation, the perfect dynamics to justify them going back there again. And another thing, the resistance, Mayday, right now is giving Gale. What about the Jezebels? Oh, we'll try to warn them. But I mean, in an ideal world, they would be okay, but we'll do our best. Giving Gale. And June is giving Katniss. June is like, yeah, they're people. You need to get them out of there. So that's just another motivation for June to go back. So you see how the whole way they're building this world and presenting the stories and the arcs of these characters all fit in together to perfectly motivate June, the powerhouse, to go back there and start the goddamn revolution. So well done. So what will we see the next episode? If you watched my breakdown of the preview for this episode, you know that I was already theorizing that the first contact point was going to be the Jezebels, where June would meet with Janine and start everything from there, and then eventually get caught up with Lawrence, learn about the wedding, plan the handmaid's attack and all of that. So what I think is going to happen from the information we got from this episode is they're going to do the recon mission with the Jezebels, right? They're going to talk to Janine to tell her that eventually someone is going to go there to poo-poo the commanders, and she and her girls need to be on high alert to know when it happens so they can run away, so they can run to safety and not be in the crossfires, basically. I think that plan will fail. For some reason, something will happen, someone will recognize them or something like that, it will fail. They will have to run, and that's what we see in the previews, is Moira and June running away. Luke is probably staying behind because remember, Luke was never in Gilead. No one knows what he looks like or who he is. So June and Moira run away, and that's when they meet that car that stops for them. The car is Lawrence. Why would Lawrence be in a Jezebels? Well, we get the answer to this episode. I will cover his part of the episode in a little bit, but he might be there again with the High Commanders, which I think is unlikely, but he also might be there just to visit Janine and give her something other of Charlotte. Let's make that straight. By the way, I mean, I will cover this, but just the fact that that woman has to live with a child that has the face of Janine and the hair of Janine and look at her every day and know it's not her child. Praise be. But yeah, that's what I think Commander Lawrence will be doing at the Jezebels, and why he will see June there and take June and Moira into safety after something goes wrong. They will be in his house, and this will be by the time where Commander Wharton has proposed to Serena. So he tells her Serena is about to be the queen of Gilead. He tells her about the wedding, all that stuff, and this is when June gets the idea to get the handmaids in there, give them knives, and kill the commanders they weren't able to kill at the Jezebels, which is the first part of the plan, and then the bombs go off, which we know they go off in a moment after the wedding when all these handmaids are being hanged. That's when the bombs go off. So the timeline kind of lines up well with this. And that time when she is in Lawrence's house will probably be the time when we see her with Nick, or maybe she goes back before, or maybe the time we see her with Nick is before she enters Gilead and he goes to visit her one last time, and that's the last time we see Nick, because remember, we don't see Nick for so much of the previews when the part of the fighting is happening. But yeah, that's what I think is going to happen to get them at the Jezebels, at Lawrence's, and then at the wedding. And I have a theory of how Janine will be with the handmaids. Wait for it. It's actually pretty clear if you watch the episode, but I'll discuss it. And then we see Commander Lawrence being promoted as a High Commander. And we know this is because he got married and he got all of those trade deals from New Bethlehem, because now Mexico and UK can trade with them because they're reforming their country. Like, I know that people are seeing Lawrence as a good guy, but just think about what he's doing. He is kind of creating a farce, a city who is a farce, who we don't even know if this is gonna last, or if it's just a ploy from Gilead to get more people back in the country. Creating a farce in his own twisted belief system that he thinks is, making Gilead better, whatever. Creating a farce that allows legitimate countries that have a lot of strategic power in world politics to trade with them and ally with them. Insane. Like, Lawrence, you're not seeing heaven. Whatever. He is promoted as a high commander, and then there's this beautiful scene, guys. I need you to appreciate this scene, and I need the slander on Commander Wharton to stop. I don't trust him. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't trust him, but I don't know that we have him completely figured out, and I will talk about him. But in this moment, when Lawrence is promoted as a high commander, they want to celebrate. Oh, they want to celebrate. And how are the commanders celebrating Gilead? Take a guess. Take a guess. And we see this moment where Lawrence is like, I gotta go. I'm a high commander. They have expectations of virility. The virility conversation. I wanted to punch that woman. Anyway, they have expectations of virility because apparently virility is essaying women, clearly. The twisted value, in one sentence, I forgot her name, Naomi. In one sentence, Naomi managed to put the entire bullshit of Gilead in one sentence. That the high commanders get their power from their virility. Meaning the high commanders get their power from abusing women. Oh my God, who would have thought? Anyway, they're in the ceremony, they're preparing to go celebrate at Jezebels, and Commander Lawrence is like, yeah, I'll go. Nick, please come with me. Please, Nick, come with me. And Commander Wharton is like, no, baby boy Nick gotta go home to his wife. And I thought that was funny. And I will explore this moment with Commander Wharton in Commander Wharton's section, because I just need you to pay attention to the way that he rebuked the accusation from the other commander, because it was brilliant. But then Commander Lawrence goes, he sees Janine there, and he, pretends that he's going to do the deed, and he just talks to her, and he gives her the drawing. And I'm gonna tell you right now, when he was reading to that child, when he had the child in his lap and was reading, the story, and then it was voiceover narration over Janine looking at that drawing, I wanted to rip my heart out of my chest because I was in pain. Really. Janine is one of the people who has suffered, she's gone through all of it. The only thing she hasn't gone through is the goddamn colonies. And I just hope that Janine and Charlotte get out of there alive. That's please get them out of there alive. And I don't know if they will, because when the commander is telling that story to the kid, to Charlotte, it's called A Little Princess, and it's the story of a little girl whose father dies and she has to live as a servant. And you might be saying, her father did die. Is she living as a servant? No, she's living as the daughter of a wife of a quite powerful commander at this point. But Commander Lawrence reads the story as if he is her father. To her, he's gonna die. Why would they put a story like that with so much focus on it? It was the end credits song. There wasn't even a song. It was the goddamn narration of the story. Are we at the place? Yes. The place is New Bethlehem, the dream that Lawrence had for Gilead, the dream that surely will die by the end of the season. And he will die with it, because they wouldn't give such attention to that story if it wasn't foreshadowing anything. It couldn't foreshadow the past. We've already seen the dude die. It's foreshadowing the future where Lawrence is going to die. And I mean, this is what I mean. I hope Janine and Charlotte are okay, because what's going to happen to her if he dies? Especially if he dies in disgrace because he was aiding rebels or something. She'll become a Martha at best. I so hope Janine and Charlotte get out of there. Like, please. Honestly, that's one of the top priorities I have for this season. Get those baby girls out of there. But yeah, that's Lawrence. Now, as for Wharton and Serena, we find out a lot, not only about Wharton's story, but about his disposition and his values. And listen, I don't trust him, okay? I don't trust him. I don't think this is the kind of character that we can trust. I think this is the kind of character that is like, we don't know. He could turn either way. I feel like this is the kind of character that could turn either way. But the reason we feel this way about him, I think, is because we don't know his story. Because try to imagine Nick. If we hadn't known anything about him, if we didn't know about all the times he helped June, if we didn't know about his intentions, if we didn't know anything about who he was apart from the way he acts, we wouldn't trust him either. He would seem too nice. He would seem too kind. He would seem too well-meaning to trust. That's Wharton. We don't know anything about him. And now we find out some things and it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the only person who is blind enough to believe this, but I don't think he is the big bad of season 6. I just don't. Because when he's talking to Serena and he tells her, oh, I used to cook. I can't get used to the Marthas and all that. It does feel deceptive. It does. It does feel like he's trying to woo her. When he tells her that he would never be like Fred, that he would welcome her input. It does, but then he talks about his wife and he talks about them wanting 5 kids, but she had a disease and had no care for it. So she eventually succumbed to it, that they didn't give her enough care when she was pregnant, that there wasn't enough attention to pregnant women back then. Like, it gives us a reason, an understandable reason, kinda. Understandable, not justifiable. Reason of why he joined Gilead, because he wanted to give his wife protection. He wanted to give his daughter protection because his daughter has the same disease. So he's facing the same issues that his wife faced when having children. And she's pregnant right now. And we see, not just by his words, we see by his actions that he is very protective over Rose. And now I need you to think about this. A high commander in Gilead, extremely protective of his daughter, who knows everything, a high commander. And trust me, Rose has a very close relationship with her father. There's no way in hell that Wharton doesn't know everything that Nick does, that Rose doesn't know everything that Rose knows that Nick does. Why would he let Nick marry her? Why? He knew, for sure he knew. He knew he was the driver of Fred and Serena with all of these issues. He knew. Why would he let him marry his daughter if he's the big bad? To control Nick? To know everything he's doing? Maybe. Or maybe because he aligns with Nick's values. And also, Nick was an eye, right? He's been spying the whole time. He was friends with one of the big bosses from the beginning. That's the guy who brought him in. Wouldn't he know? Like, wouldn't he be aware if Wharton was just trying to woo him, to spy on him, and spy on his, like, rebel aiding activities? You know, it doesn't, like, fit. Either one of them is an idiot by trusting the other, or both of them have similar values, and that's why they got their families together. Because in this conversation with Serena, he also says something very important. He says, everyone should have access to medical care, not just the children of the privileged. And Serena, the way Serena reacts is like, I guess, but in Gilead, only the privileged get access to that kind of stuff. Everyone else is a slave. How many people are in Gilead willingly? The ones who benefit from its power, only. And even them. And I know what you're asking. If Commander Wharton and Nick are in on this together, whatever they are doing, their plan, why hasn't he, made Nick and Rose leave Gilead? Because they're safer there. And that's even what Nick says. Like, this is the safest position for me to be in Gilead. It's a high commander. And it is. And I will get to that soon because I have a really hurtful theory about Nick, and I need you guys to prove me wrong. Like, seriously. This will destroy me if this comes out to be true. It won't. Another thing that just gives me hope for Wharton is in Lawrence's like promotion ceremony. Because remember I mentioned with Lawrence, they're going to the Jezebels, they're asking who's going, and one of these asshole commanders is asking Wharton, are you going? And Wharton is like, yeah, that's not my thing. And then this asshole commander says, oh, but the stuff or whatever he says is better here than in DC. And Wharton is like, yeah, I wouldn't know. And the commander is like, yeah, my father tells me you never really go there, right? And this is an accusation. This is an accusation to Commander Wharton. Like, do you really subscribe to our values of virility, of essaying women? And Commander Wharton doesn't defend himself from not going to the Jezebels. He doesn't. He defends the guy's father for going to Jezebels. And he doesn't say, oh, I don't go because it's my traditional value, whatever. No. He says, yeah, your father's service to Gilead far outweighs his vices. Not only does he not defend himself from not going to Jezebels, he defends the guy's father, which we can tell is a very powerful person, and accuses him of having a vice, which is going to the Jezebels. Which a vice is a sin in their culture. See how he did this? The amount of like mental astuity you have to have, how smart you have to be able to not only not defend yourself from an accusation, but accuse someone else, and not even someone else, their powerful father, and at the same time of accusing him, defending his actions. So you can't even judge him. You can't even say anything to him because technically he wasn't accusing his father of anything. He was defending his vices. Because his service outweighs them. This guy is so goddamn smart. And I mean, this is why I see him as wooing Serena as a strategy. Like, I see that. He is telling her all the good things. Like, I noticed you before, even when you were with Fred. I noticed how you weren't well treated. Let's dance in the street like they did in the olden days because this is New Bethlehem and we can. I see it, okay? I see him wooing Serena. I just don't know if it is for the purpose that everyone thinks it is. Is he really trying to woo her so he can marry her and abuse her later and like take her out of commission because she's one of the big selling points of New Bethlehem? It's Serena. So maybe he could be doing that. He could be wooing Serena to chain her and make sure that New Bethlehem doesn't continue. You know, if he has her in his hand, Gilead will make sure that she is, bowing down if he wants to. But with everything else, with the way that he reacts towards those commanders, with the way that he talks to Serena about his views and values, does it truly seem like that? Because if he was trying to woo Serena to then put her down, why wouldn't he go with the other commanders? Why would he keep up the farce with the commanders? You know what I mean? I feel like we haven't figured this man out at all. And I really like this character because I think the showrunners and the writers are doing a good job of keeping us guessing, because I can see how he's on the side of the high commanders and wooing Serena to then betray her. But I can also see how he could have his own agenda, because remember, he's very protective of Rose, and Rose is what? A woman in Gilead. And then when they're dancing, goddamn Aunt Lydia, who is everywhere, interrupts them on the street. And the way that they react to Aunt Lydia's interruption is very different, because the commander is like, oh, hello, dear. And Serena is like, oh my God, what are you doing here? Very different. And I think it's very telling, because Serena sees Aunt Lydia as a threat, because Aunt Lydia is kind of a spy for everyone. And she, as I said, is goddamn devout. She actually believes the bullshit of Gilead. So she is a threat for Serena, but she isn't a threat for Commander Wharton. And why? Because it's not explained. Why is Aunt Lydia there? Well, I think it's clear why she's there. She probably knows, maybe even conspired with Commander Wharton or something. She probably knows that he's trying to woo her, that they are going to get married, and she's trying to find a secure position for goddamn Janine. That's what she's trying to do. And I think this is how Janine might end up at the wedding, as a handmaid, because maybe she will become their handmaid as a favor to Aunt Lydia or something. I don't know. And this is how she will end up in a handmaid uniform and going to the wedding and having a knife and being able to, attack the commanders. This is my theory for it. So let's see. Now, lastly, about Nick, and Rita. First of all, when Rita returned and she had to be faced with a happy Serena, like, oh my God, Rita, welcome back. As if Rita didn't flee your household. Serena, the delusions in this woman's head are insane. She thinks she can be friends with anyone she's abused in the past. Insane. And when Rita sees her baby sister, I was on my knees. That was so heartbreaking. And Serena standing there, the freaking menace that she is, standing there, seeing these two people embrace, which they haven't done for years because of the system you goddamn created, who separated families, who abused everyone. And you're seeing them reunite and you see it in her face. You see it in Serena's face. Oh, that's cute. I'm so sorry I did that. Whoopsie. And then she's not sorry. She's not sorry at all. And this is one of the things I think about Serena as well. The secret reason, like in a very hopeful world, guys, you need to suspend your disbelief right now. In a very hopeful world, Commander Wharton knows how dangerous Serena is, because Serena, even though she's down with New Bethlehem, she's only not down with New Bethlehem because the circumstances changed and she was a single mom. That was the only way she could return to Gilead. And I think Commander Wharton knows that she needs to get Serena out of commission if he wants to make a move for whatever he wants to do in Gilead. Because Serena is a powerful person. And I mean, she has managed to get her way like almost every single time. So I think there could be like a hidden dimension to Commander Wharton in the reason why he's wooing Serena. Maybe it isn't to put her down after the marriage. Maybe it is just to, get a threat out of the streets, because that's what Serena truly is. She's a threat and she's on the side of Gilead. Because remember the train when she was being attacked and she completely dropped the farce of the poor refugee and she completely defended Gilead to the woman she had abused? Remember that. So yeah, we see Rita reuniting with her sister, and then we see Rita meeting with Nick. And this meeting is basically her being like, oh my, how you have risen in the ranks. And she kind of looked a little bit afraid of him, which makes sense. The Baby Boy is just a commander. Baby Boy is a high commander at this point. And he asks her if she's willing to stay in New Bethlehem for 1 or 2 years as he tries to get her family out of there. And she says yes. And this is what got me thinking. And guys, I had this instinct in the last episode and I didn't want to believe it. But I have it again. And my instinct is, what if it is Nick? What if Nick is the one that betrays the rebels? What if Nick is the one who's playing a farce all along? What if Nick is the one who married Rose to keep an eye on Wharton? He was an eye before. What if it's Nick? What if it has been Nick all along that has been the spy for Gilead among Mayday and amongst the rebels? What if it is Nick? What if the reason he was mad that they tried to assassinate June is because June is to Gilead what Nick is to the rebellion? The best thing they have there, so they can't freaking lose her. I know this is like up there, delusional, probably not gonna happen, but I just have a bad feeling. And I mean, can we trust anyone inside Gilead? Because I can trust Mark. I can trust Luke. I can trust anyone on the resistance. I understand why they're doing that. I can understand that they are willing to sacrifice their lives to fight for like a better place. Can we trust anyone in Gilead? Like, I want to trust Nick. I feel like we can trust Nick, but can we? Because I know we can't trust Lawrence. I know we can't trust Wharton. Can we trust Nick? Or is he the big plot twist? Can you imagine if in the end they made Nick the big bad? They can't, right? I need you guys to comment and convince me and tell me all the reasons why Nick could never be the plot twist big bad. I need you to tell me, because maybe I've missed something. I need to rewatch the goddamn previews. Another one is going to come out. But is he in any of the shots of the later season shots? Is he? we don't see him. When the fight is happening, when they're talking about the rebel, we don't see him. Where is he? And in my mind, I'm thinking, first I was thinking, okay, they got him because of the security guards, the guards that he killed in the park. They got him. But now I'm thinking, did they take him and have him hidden for like a ploy at the end, for a moment where everything hangs in the balance and June needs Nick and needs Lawrence and needs maybe Wharton, and then he betrays her? I'm going insane thinking about this because I have a bad feeling about this. I need you to tell me in the comments that I'm wrong, because I need to, like, if Nick betrays June and betrays the resistance, how do we trust men again? Is my question. Anyway, guys, these are my theories. This is my review of this episode. I'm so sorry it's so long. I tried to only keep what's essential in it. I will be dropping a breakdown of the next preview. Let's see what they give us. And yeah, check back here next week. I'll be reviewing the episode again. And if you want to watch my other reviews, check the channel, check my Patreon. And yeah, I'll see you then, guys. Bye.